Hey guys, it's Rob. Hey, I've been meaning to do this video for quite some time and I'm finally getting a chance to do it for you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to compare some different tools. Reason being is I'm a big believer now, I wasn't in the past, but I'm a big believer in using high quality equipment. And what I mean by that is I used to use cheap stuff. I thought, hey, why would I spend a bunch of money on tools when a cheap one from China is just as good? I was totally wrong. If you are a racer, chances are if you're watching this, you might know me or you race and you've come across this. You know already that you need good quality tools. Reason being is if you're ever stripping hardware, chances are it's not the fault of the hardware, it's the tools you're using. In the past, before I got into racing, I used to have large scale, like fifth scale stuff and a bunch of Tamiya stuff, which I guess this doesn't apply to, but all kinds of different brands of just bashing monster trucks and all kinds of stuff. And I used El Cheapo tools and I was always stripping screws, especially with the fifth scale because you use a lot of Loctite. And I used to always be buying hardware and replacing it. I've learned subsequently that it was actually the cheap tools that was doing it, not the screws themselves. So, you know, I get a little smarter and maybe I can pass on some of my mistakes and learned wisdom to you. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna kind of do this, you know, Nick Adams style. Shout out to Nick Adams. Unfortunately, he's not with us any longer, but I'm gonna do some measuring. We're gonna look at MIP, we're gonna look at Hootie, and we're gonna look at MR33, and we're also gonna look at these cheapo ones that I bought years and years ago. We're going to compare the dimensions, the weight, you know, some storage ideas, the price, identification, meaning, well, how do you know what size it is? My opinion of how it feels in your hand, how it fits in the screw, both aluminum and steel. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about the distribution, where you can get them, positives and negatives of all these different ones here. So yeah, let's just dig into it and see how this goes. So let's start with the dimensions. That's the first thing I've got on my list. And we're gonna do MIP first. So let's focus on the 2.0 hex driver because that's the most commonly used tool. And let's measure the handle with the caliper. Hopefully I'm gonna be able to do this. So I'm holding my phone in one hand. And I'm gonna try to attempt to do this all with one hand. All right, so we're close enough to 0. So the handle, 22.71. It's kind of a funky shape, so let's just do it again just to be sure. Yeah, 21. Interesting. What do you guys think? Call that 22? Yeah, I'm gonna call that 22. Part of the reason, we're gonna come to storage in a bit, but part of the reason I'm doing measurements comes to storage. So the diameter, 22 millimeters. The length is gonna be important. I'll talk about that in a bit as well. Length in millimeters. We're not gonna be super precision here, guys. We're gonna get her close. It looks to be, we're gonna call that 180. So 22 by 180. Now, let's do the same with the Hootie. I've got the ruler there, so let's grab the 2.0. Let's not make a big mess. The Hootie, a little bit longer than the MIP. We're at about 195. So the Hootie, 195. And the diameter of the handle, let's call that 18, okay? I'm gonna just call it 18. We're a little shy of 18. Well, let's do it right. Let's call it 17.8. 17.8. We're gonna come back to that dimension again. Let's put that in there. Now let's go to the MR33. That's that guy there. So, handle diameter, 18.07. 18, 1806, 1802, 18.7, that's weird, 07, 03, 18. let me just try something real quick. Okay, that's what I suspected. So I'm going to write that down as 18. Let's call it 18-ish, okay? We're going to come back to that in a sec. Put that cap for my pen down. Okay, length of the MR33. If you guys want to skip to the end, you can see I'm going to write down all. I'm going to fill in the majority of the blanks, but hopefully you'll watch right through and we'll talk about stuff as we go. Length. Let's call it 185. There's a little cap on the end there, so it's 180 plus the cap. Let's call it 185. Close enough. Ah, shoot, my pen went flying. Sorry, guys. One of the things that's happening to my body as I get older is I'm losing the feeling in my hands, and I can't feel my fingers anymore, so I drop things all the time. It's great fun getting old. Okay, so the reason I started with dimensions, so we've got the MIP 22 by 180, the Hootie roughly 18 by 185, and the MR33 roughly 18 by 185. We're gonna skip to storage. So as you can see, my son's tools are the Hooties, and they fit in this nice Hootie rack, no problem. The MIPs though, they don't fit. So if you like a display stand, something like that, and you like the MIP tools, bear in mind, you're going to have a little bit of a limited selection as to what kind of tool holder you can get for your MIP tools. I know there's a lot of 3D printed stuff on the market, and I've seen some acrylic stands for them. I think the acrylic ones look pretty good. I'm not a fan of 3D printed stuff. That's just my personal opinion. Just bear in mind. Now, there is a workaround. So I tend to keep my pit area pretty clean. I don't like things on display. I just keep everything in my roller bag beside me when I'm working. So everything's in order. It's usually a two-hand job. I lift the elastic up and slide the tool in. So that's where I keep everything in there. So when I'm working at the track, I've got my car in front of me. I can just reach over, grab what I need, do the thing, put it right back where it came from, and I always know where everything is. But again, if you like to have things on display, whether that be at home or at the track, bear in mind you're going to have limited selection with the MIP as to what kind of tool holder you can get. If you like 3D printed, great, there's tons of them and they're reasonably priced. If you're like me and you don't like 3D printed stuff, you want aluminum, it's gonna be a little bit challenging for you to find something. The MR33, as much as the dimensions are really, really close, it's just big enough that it won't fit in there. MR33 has a really nice aluminum stand as well. It's reasonably priced. It's roughly $35. This Hootie one, shoot, I can't remember. It's expensive. I'm gonna call it like $90 or something. It's really expensive for what it is. It's nice, typical Hootie though, expensive. MR33, nice stand, will match their MR33 tools, so you'll have an option there. So we did the dimensions, and again, primarily I wanted to do dimensions, the diameter of the handle and the storage situation. But there's another thing to talk about with dimensions. So the length, primarily I'm looking at the length of the MIP versus the Hootie. And what I want to talk about more so I guess we'll ignore the numbers, but let's just talk theory. See the length of the nut driver? So this is the 5.5 or 7.0. What size is it? Shoot, I can't remember. I'm gonna call it a 7.0. That's for the wheel nuts. So if you're in a kind of a crowded pit space and let's say you're using it to put sauce on, I find the length of the MIP being a little bit shorter than the Hootie is more convenient. I'm not knocking over my sauce bottle, hitting something on the side. Some of our pit spaces are pretty tight. So personally, I like the short length of the MIP nut driver. When I bought the Hootie for my son, that's exactly what started to happen. It was a little bit awkward to use. It's really long. So that ended up meaning we had to buy the little short one. I personally don't like using this. My son says he's used to it now and he likes it. Well, there it is. They're all 7.0s. So you do definitely have the option of getting this little Hootie one. Really nice, super light. But if it means you've gone from buying one tool to two, and Hootie is expensive, the cost is going to go up. They look awesome. They feel good. but just know that Hootie nut driver, it's pretty long, right? You can see how long it is. So you might have an issue with it, you know, bumping into stuff on your pit area. But we're not going to worry about the lengths and dimensions and weight and stuff of the China ones. I just want to make a general comment about those later. All right, let's clean up my mess again. Let's bring that back, put that there. Weight. All right, let's get my little scale out here. Turn that on. It should come up at 0. Yellow. There it goes. We're going to do the 2.0 to start. Let's call it, we're going to round up. We're going to call it 54. That's close enough. So that's the MIP. 54 grams. Okay, 54 grams written down. Put that back. Let's grab the Hootie 2.0. Much, much lighter. Let's call it 23. We're going to round up again. 23. A little bit less. Both of them are a little bit less than what I'm writing down. Put that back where it belongs. Grab our MR33. Put that on the scale. We're going to call that 29. So we're going to round that one down a bit. 29-ish grams. All right, so the weight, MIP, the heaviest, 54. The Hootie, the lightest at 23. The MR33, somewhere in the middle, but pretty darn close to that Hootie at 29. What's next? We talked about storage, so we're going to skip that. Check, check, check. Okay, let's go to the price. We're kind of jumping around here. I thought it was going to be organized, but it's not super organized. Price, MIP, US dollars, $17.50. Now, I got that price from AMain. AMain's going to be our benchmark. I believe there's minimum advertised pricing on all of these things, so they're going to be very, very close to $17.50. That's for one single 2mm hex driver. They have some sets available, so if you are shopping for a bunch of tools, check out the multi-piece sets, because that will bring the price down slightly per piece. But MIP, $17.50, again, US dollars. The Hootie, no surprise, a little bit more money. Call it $21 for the tool. So that would be just like this. And this is the one they call the exclusive. Very nice, but most expensive. Now, one thing that's nice about the Hooties is you can replace just the tip. So if you have the handle already or you've purchased the tool and the tip wears out, you can buy just the tip. Actually, it's this one here, 11 bucks. $10.99 US from AMain for just the tip itself. That way, you know, you can save a bunch of money if you've just worn out the end, which will happen on all of these tools. Another option, I should have grabbed it out of the drawer. I've got a reamer, but the 2.0 Profi, I believe they call it. It's a plastic handle Hootie. Is $14.49 US dollars. It's an option. Check them out. They have a funky handle. I do have an arm reamer with that handle, and it's totally fine, but you're going to run into all those storage challenges with a big plastic handle. It's not going to fit in a rack, and they don't even fit very well in here. So just keep that in mind. But you have the option of getting Hootie quality for less money if you opt for the plastic handle as opposed to the nice aluminum one. The cheapest is actually the MR33. So they're actually 12 euros. I did a currency conversion online and it came out to 12 US dollars. So right now euros and US dollars are on par. So $12 or 12 euros for a complete MR33 2.0, just as you see it there. That's how it came out of the package. It's got a cap on the end, the tip and everything. It's only 12 bucks. And you can replace the tip for just around $6. So not quite half of the price of the Hootie, but you know, a quality tool for much, much less than the others. Okay, so that's pricing. Let's go to identification. And what I mean by that is, how do you know what tool is what? So let's get the three that we're really looking at in front of us here. So if you're organized and you put everything back where it belongs, it's really not a problem. 1.5, 2, etc., etc. You know, my 0.5, 1.5, 2 ball, 2.5, 3, like I know where everything is. Everything goes back where it belongs, no problem. If though you keep it in a jumbled mess, which I know some guys do, you kind of want to be able to quickly look and see what size is in front of you. So the MIP comes with these color-coded labels that you put over the handle and shrink wrap it on. If you buy MIP tools, personally, I suggest you put those on. I see a lot of guys that don't, but at a glance, I know the solid red is the 2.0. So if I've got a bunch of tools all in a big pile, I just grab the solid red. Or you can read it if you forget, but you'll remember in a short period of time. I know the red stripe is a 2.0 ball end. I know the white is my 1.5. So at a glance, you can grab your MIP tools really, really quickly, super easy. The Hootie has a cool feature too. So they all kind of look the same, right? You think, oh, all the Hooties are the same, how am I gonna know? But they do this. On the handle, one wide stripe, one half stripe, that's the 1.5. There's a little 1.5 tip. Two wide stripes, that's the 2.0. Shoot, I should have got, and I don't have the others, but I believe the 3 is 1, 2, 3 wide stripes. I'm sure that's correct. I don't have a 2.0 ball driver for my son yet, so I don't know how that's indicated, but I know your common ones, 1.5 and 2, so super simple as well. And put those back where they belong. When we look at the MR33, it's on the handle there. This is the only one that I have. I've looked at pictures online of different sizes and I don't see any additional indications. So if you guys know something I don't, let me know, but I believe it's just marked on the handle. If you're organized, not a problem. If you make a mess, you might have to kind of either look at the tip, you'll get used to the, just looking at the tip, or look at the handle and try to figure it out by looking there. I personally find the MIP is super fast and easy. The Hootie is super fast and easy. I haven't used the MR33 regularly. I just bought this one essentially to make this video for you. And it's printed on there. So I would probably say the other two are quicker and easier, but that's not bad at all. So that's that. We talked about identification. Let's talk about the feel. So the tool I've been using the longest, other than my cheapo China ones from years back, is the MIP. I didn't write down, how do they look, but they kind of look old school, kind of look a little ugly, but they feel really good. They're really well balanced, and they've got this kind of groove here for your finger, right? It just kind of fits nicely in your hand. Your thumb drops into there, depending on how you're using it, right? If you're twisting it like this, the handle's got kind of that pattern on there. It actually feels really good in your hand, and if you get them dirty, they clean up really nicely. So not the most attractive tool in the world, but it feels good in your hand. It's got that rounded end on it. It fits in the palm of your hand, again, depending on how you're holding it. So you can twist it. That thing is in the palm of my hand, the round end on it. And you see the way I'm holding it? So you can, spin it. It's nice. Do it like this, it's nice. So I personally like the way the MIP feels in my hand very much. Hooties feel a little bit different. They're nicely balanced, as I'm dropping it to show you how balanced they are, but it's a very light tool. It balances really well, and it feels good in the hand when you're using it. So you can spin nice and quick, and it's got that round plastic end on it that again goes into the palm of your hand and spins nice and free in your hand. So you can move quickly with it. So those also feel really good, and they're light, so they're lighter than the MIP. Feels great in my hand. This MR33 feels good. This kind of shape here kind of lays on my finger. It's not bad. My thumb kind of fits on that same spot. You get a little bit of grip from this funky design here. I think that's more for style, but it does give you some traction. And they've got kind of a funky cap on the end. Can you see that? So the tool's not moving, just the cap is. And it's a slick little feature. I can see why they did it, but it makes noise. And if you're weird like me, that to me just doesn't feel like super quality. So I'm not gonna be able to do this with one hand. Hear that? It's not a big deal, but you can kind of hear it squeaking. You could probably put a drop of oil on it, maybe, but it's a cool idea, but I think they might have overthunk it a little bit. I do like it though. Looks nice. It's got their brand on the end, and it spins. So maybe a drop of oil on there, make it spin a little easier, maybe a little quieter. But honestly, I think the plastic cap on the Hootie is just smarter, and hey, they could have saved 50 cents or something per tool, I don't know. But that's the thought. The MR33 feels pretty darn good. Not terrible, not awesome. It does rest well in my hand. That little spinny thing on the cap, it's cool, but it makes a kind of a junky, low quality sound. I don't like the sound it makes, but it feels good. And it's fair weight as well. A little heavier than the MIP, or rather the Hootie. Definitely lighter than the MIP. Anyways, this is getting long, so let's keep moving. Distribution, this is an important one. So if you want to buy a set of tools, if you're anything like me, you want everything to match. MIP tools are readily available. I'm in Canada, but depending on where you're watching this, anywhere in North America, you can get MIP tools. Virtually every local hobby shop has MIP tools. We have a good distributor of these in Canada. So you can go to your hobby store. If they're not already on the shelf, they can get them. Most online stores and trackside shops have access to MIP as well. So easy to get. So let's say you break your 1.5, which I've done, not by using, but by prying on something, I broke it. You can just zip down to the store, grab another one, or hit your favorite online shop, whatever. You can get an MIP, no problem. Hootie is close. It's not quite as well distributed, but if you hop online, you can find Hootie tools, no problem, priced similarly, regardless of where you go. So that's in North America, and Europe, I'm sure, is the same. Being a European company, they're going to be easy to find. MR33, not quite as easy to find. So really, they're distributed through Tony Sport, and you'd have to either get them from Tony Sport in Germany or one of their dealers. It's going to be a little bit harder to find MR33. And what I've discovered, so full disclosure, I can buy from Tony Sport, and I'm importing some stuff into Canada here just for my local market. They don't always have full sets in stock. So right now, I believe the rack is sold out, and I think the 3.0 is sold out. So for me personally, again, I want everything to match. I don't want to have a full set of MR33 with a Hootie 3.0 because I couldn't get the MR33. So keep that in mind depending on what you're trying to accomplish. If you just want one or two and they're in stock, by all means grab them. If you're in North America, they're going to be a little bit harder to find. If you're in Europe, shouldn't be a problem. Just know that there might be some holes in the distribution, so you might have a challenge filling your set. MIP, super easy to find. Hootie, very easy to find, maybe not quite as common as the MIP. MR33, definitely a little bit more challenging. So that's pretty much it. And I can't remember what I wanted to talk about with the cheapo ones, other than the fact that you kind of get what you pay for. These are really old. I've used them for a long, long time. Handles actually feel really good. They're a little bit corroded because I don't care about them. I just huck them in the garden shed. And I have a rock crawler that I use from time to time. And I've got a couple of these tools in just like a little bag that we take with us. Just because I couldn't care less if I lose one of these. I don't want to take, an expensive Hootie tool out in the forest and drop it on a trail somewhere. So I bring the cheapo ones with me when we're out doing whatever, camping or rock crawling or whatever. So hopefully you got some value of this. I did forget one quick thing that's quite important, probably one of the most important, the engagement with the screw. So this isn't going to be perfectly fair because I've been using these MIPs quite a bit. This is my go-to. It's what I use when I'm working on the cars, unless I steal my son's tools, which I do from time to time. But the engagement, so this is a well-used tool and a used screw. See that? So again, not a super fair comparison because this tool's been used more than any of the others, and it's also a used screw. Let's put in an aluminum one. A little bit tighter fit. Okay, still a little bit of movement there. So what I find is when I take the screw out, it will just fall off the end of the MIP. The Hootie is a little bit newer than the MIP. This is my son's tool set. It's gonna be hard for you to see, but it is wiggling a little bit. On brand new hardware, it doesn't wiggle at all. It locks right in. I'm trying to find a decent quality screw here. All the hardware on his car is pretty worn. You can see it's wiggling a little bit. And I often find the Hootie driver will bite right into the screw. So if I take, say, a top deck screw out, it's really locked onto the end of the screw, so I kind of have to like pick it off with my thumbnail or something. Same with the aluminum ones. It bites right in. Look at that, nice and tight. No movement whatsoever. So again, not a perfectly fair comparison because the MIP has been used a lot longer. The Hootie is newer with less use, but I do find the Hootie tolerances on the tip are a little tighter than my MIP. Again, take that with a grain of salt because it's not a perfectly fair comparison. Well-used tool, newer tool. This MR33 is brand new. I used it just to kind of get used to it. And let's check the fit on the aluminum. Get in there. Really tight, actually. It was a little bit even difficult to get in there. That's not moving at all. So this is essentially a brand new tool though. So, you know, take it for what it is. No movement whatsoever, super tight engagement. Look at that, it's picking up the car. So that's what the Hootie does quite often as well. It really locks in there. That's kind of neat. Let's do that again. So a little bit of a challenge to get it in there. Give it a little wiggle wiggle. It's locked right into that screw. That's actually pretty cool. Let's try it on an old worn out steel screw. Tiny bit of movement, comes out. So again, new tool. I don't know how well that tip will last, but just thought you might find that interesting. So anyways, that's a long rambly video. Wow, we're up to 26 minutes. I should shut it off, but if that helped you at all, I'll put some links down in the description. You can use them if you'd like. The AMain links will be affiliate links, so if you're shopping at AMain anyways and you feel like throwing a couple pennies my way, by all means use those links. Tony Sport is probably your best bet for MR33. If you're local to me, which is Vancouver, BC, Canada, and you would like to purchase either MR33 or Hootie, I can help you get those. Unfortunately, I can't get you any MIPs, so you have to hit your local hobby store for those. And if you want cheapo China ones, I don't recommend it, but just whatever. They're easy to find, Alibaba, Amazon, but again, you know, buy at your own risk. I don't recommend them unless you're just using them maybe for camping or rock crawling and you don't care if you lose them or whatever. Anyways, guys, have a great day. I will talk to you soon. Bye for now.